So here at Just Seen It, we have reviewed Silent House. We very much enjoyed it, and we're lucky to have the supervising sound designer and editor of the film, Glenn T. Morgan, here with us.
Thank you.
To talk.
Well, so what is the job of a supervising sound designer / editor?
In most films, you have a set dresser, you have a costume designer. In essence, it's the same thing. So I'm going to become the set dresser for the ears. And I conceptualize exactly the soundscape from beginning to end, from how the ambience is going to sound, to what type of doors and windows. It gets very down to the minute detail, just as wardrobe supervisor will pick the right buttons.
So there's, of course, a lot of different ways to get into your position. What's the story of how you broke in?
For me, I actually came through this by doing acting. I had enrolled into the Lee Strasberg School of Acting, and one of the things I excelled in was assisting my other actors in putting together their scenes. I tend to have a following within the school that I could do this well, to the point where Dominic DeFazio, who ran the school, came and said, "Hey, Glenn, you ever thought about directing full-time?" As an actor, that's a backhanded compliment, but eventually I took it to heart, and I thought, I'll get into editing. And then from editing, I was able to grasp the art of picking the right sound effect. Sound effects were always the kind of the bastard child of post-production. It wasn't very glamorous, but then there were some pioneers that really made it interesting. That in itself was somewhat romantic, in being able to tell stories through audio.
And so what brought your connection with the directors, Chris Kintis and Laura Lau?
Before, I had worked with them on Open Water, and the relationship and the closeness of being part of that really draw us together, because from the beginning, they really believed that I believed in them, and I never wavered from that. Through the years in support of working on Open Water until Silent House, we always stayed connected, waiting for the right vessel for us to reconnect.
We loved Silent House, and what's interesting about Silent House is that it's being touted as a single-take horror film. That seems like it could prove problematic for someone cutting backgrounds. How do you work with the structure of the film and creating a soundscape?
From day one, they called and gave me a heads up of what this film was going to be about. They even sent me a copy of the original film that it's based from. Also, they provided me a floor plan of the house. So I knew every room, every floor, every angle, and each room has its unique sound to it. So as we passed through in the hallways, you could hear the evolution from one room into the other. So if we were in a bedroom that had more of a wind tunnel to it, that starts to evaporate as we go more into the tonal qualities of the hallway. And then as we go downstairs or we go upstairs, every room changes. So it didn't matter about not having edits in this film, because the sound was evolving on its own.
You could probably classify Silent House as a genre picture. It's a horror film or a thriller. Is there sort of a go-to library that you have with this type of genre, or something that you look at as saying, I have certain sounds that I can bring to that type of film?
I've always approached it from day one as a psychological thriller. So everything had to be emotional and heightened suspension. And that was always the protagonist for what would lead us into the next event.
Is there a series of sounds that you associate with the psychology of our main character, Sarah?
It's interesting you say that, because as you watch the film, it evolves.
Right.
And also, things are triggered. So there are sounds throughout the film that are very specific, that have a reoccurring theme, and that helps us move forward into the story. It was really important that Nathan Larson and I connected, and we worked well together. So whenever there was music available, it was provided to me. So there was always this seamless transition between music and sound effects, and sometimes nothing, because we found that to be very effective, is to play just nothing.
Would you like me to go upstairs and have a look?
Yeah.
Okay.
By him leaving the room and saying he'll be right back, you hear a door close, and then you hear her walk back, so you think he's coming back, and then thump, nothing. So already we've established peril. Well, at least that's the intent, is we establish that with her, because now it's no electricity, nobody else in the house, there's a thump.
The doors are locked.
So the race is on.
The directors mentioned Roman Polanski's Repulsion as one of the films that influenced them in the making of Silent House. What influenced you?
Requiem for a Dream was a film that always would come up because of the usage of unique sound designs and emotional content within the sound design. So we use that somewhat as a palette. I also had the relationship with these filmmakers early on when they did their film Open Water. And there was an opportunity there where we had to create a world that really didn't exist. We had to create an underwater world. We had to create an above water world. And what would that sound like? And so there was this shorthand communication that we already had, which really helped. And I had an idea of the direction they liked to go.
Well, we just want to thank you, Glenn T. Morgan, for coming on our show and talking about Silent House. As we talked about, sound is integral to the film, and we very much enjoyed it. So thank you a lot for your time.
Thank you.
And everyone should check out our review of Silent House on justseenit.com. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.